David even wanted to kill him, but his daughter wouldn't let him.
I get it. You broke up with Jeremy for him, didn't you? You two were doing fine. No wonder you suddenly refused to marry Jeremy. I should have known it. How could you do this? Is this fair to Jeremy? Look at him. He looks like a boy toy. A gust of wind could even blow him to the ground. Only a man like Jeremy is a real man. His body shape can tell you that.
David used to be a soldier too. Even though he was middle-aged now, he still kept fit. He disliked those weak-looking men like Benjamin the most. Dad, there really is nothing going on between him and me. Sylvia felt uncomfortable when her father mentioned Jeremy. He's lost and he went to our police station. I brought him back because he had nowhere else to go. David sneered.
Couldn't you find a more real excuse? Your police station is large. Couldn't you find a place there for him to get through the night? Do you think I've never been in a police station before? If what you said is true, you'd have to bring every lost person back home, wouldn't you?
Sylvia opened her mouth wide. She admitted that no one would believe what she said, but what she said was the truth.
Look at this silly boy. He hasn't even greeted me yet.
The more David looked at the goofy-looking Benjamin, the angrier he got.
Look at him. He's not a man whore, is he?
Sylvia's face turned dark. Dad, am I that kind of person? The more David thought about it, the more he tended to believe he guessed correctly, so he even wanted to eat Benjamin alive.
Sylvia, you're a police officer. I couldn't have imagined that you'd actually do something like this. What have I been telling you since you were little? You need to restrain yourself. I've been giving you too much freedom, and your mother never restrained you. Move back home right now.
David grabbed Sylvia angrily and headed towards the door. As he had gone merely a few steps, his wrist was suddenly grasped. David turned back and saw Benjamin staring at him coldly and alertly. Anger surged up to his head. He clenched his fist and prepared to make a move. The sharp-eyed Sylvia saw Benjamin take out that pin cap-like little thing from his trouser pocket. She hurriedly freed herself from David, then grabbed Benjamin's arm and said, calm down, he's my father, don't knock him out too. David's fist paused in the air. At first he thought Sylvia was talking to him, but then he realized that she was actually talking to that boy. He almost vomited blood.
Him? Knock me out? How ridiculous. I can put him down with one single punch,
David yelled. Benjamin ignored him as if he hadn't heard him talking and nodded at Sylvia obediently, then put the little weapon back into his pocket. He wanted to write, but recalled that Sylvia had taken away his notebook and pen. So he moved his lips, talking to her with the simplest words he could come up with. Don't hit Dad. He wanted to say, your dad. But as he didn't want to talk too much, he omitted the word your. Hearing that, Sylvia was stunned. David was immediately infuriated.
Who's your dad? Watch your mouth. I'll never let a man whore be my son-in-law. I'll never accept you, not even when I die. Stay away from Sylvia. Don't let me see you again or I'll beat you up every time I see you.
Dad, don't misunderstand. He doesn't talk much. He just left out some words. Sylvia didn't know him well enough, but she did know that he could be lazy when talking.
All right, enough of this. You have to end this in front of me right away.
David's eyes were bulging with anger. Benjamin looked at him and said to Sylvia,
I don't like him. You think I care if you like me?
David was clutching his chest now. He felt a wave of pain hit him. What had he done in his previous life to deserve this? He had a son who drove him up the wall, and he would kill himself before he would allow someone like this to marry his daughter. He would have had a heart attack because of these two.
I'm calling your mother. I'll let her talk some sense into you.
David thought it was a good opportunity to call Caitlin, as it had been a while since he last talked to her, so he quickly dialed her number. The moment the call connected, he quickly said in an accusatory tone,
Caitlin, look at how you raised your daughter. I'm sorry. Caitlin is changing.
It was a man's voice over the line. David was shocked, feeling faint once again. It was as if someone had run a knife through his body. Caitlin was changing, and a man picked up the call while she was doing so. It was extremely early in the morning. What had they been doing?
Pass the phone to Caitlin now,
David bellowed in anger. Sylvia was shocked. She could see that his face had turned pale now. It looked like he was about to have a stroke.
Dad, are you okay?
David ignored her and walked to the edge of the room. After a while, he could hear Caitlin in the background.
Henry, who is it?
Your ex-husband.
David felt his temples throb, his heart aching. How had he turned into her ex-husband? They had been married for decades, but he still couldn't come to terms with the fact that they had split up.
David, what do you want so early in the morning?
Caitlin said with irritation, finally on the line.
Do you know how early it is?
David started berating her.
What are you doing with a man so early in the morning? What a shameless woman. You're past your 50s, you know.
Caitlin was annoyed.
I already divorced you. You ought to stay out of my business. What do you think we were doing? We slept together, of course. What's so shameless about that? I'm single, unlike you, who was fooling around as a still married man.
David was huffing and puffing. It stung when she said that they had spent the night together. How could his wife sleep with someone else?
I've realized my mistake. It was one time. I haven't made any more mistakes.
How could you forget eating shit? You're shit to me now. You know that?
Caitlin said harshly.
If you're calling to berate me, I'm going to hang up. I can't be bothered to.
Wait, of course now,
David said hastily.
I'm calling about our daughter. Did you know that your girl has found herself a gigolo? You're not educating her well, too busy on your own date, perhaps.
Sylvia was about to break down.
Dad, he's not a gigolo, okay? Don't listen to him, Mom.
You hear that? David continued. She's really protective over that boy, too. I dropped by to visit her this morning just to see a naked man roaming around in her house. It's preposterous. It wouldn't be so bad if he was a decent man, but this guy is far from that. I've no idea where he came from. He wouldn't even look me in the eye. He's extremely rude and disrespectful. He's a good-for-nothing guy.
Sylvia covered her face.
Dad, he's wearing pants, all right?
David ignored her completely, but said angrily,
You get over here now and teach your daughter how to behave. What she's doing is awful. I'm not against her finding a new boyfriend, but he can't be an indecent man. Also, your son has broken up with his girlfriend, too. He's a 30-year-old man, but still not married. My army friends have all become grandpas long ago. It's all because of you, as their mother, didn't do your duty.
After saying that, he angrily ended the call, and then he suddenly fell into silence and walked to the balcony. He lit a cigarette and looked at the sky with a sad face. Sylvia was going to accuse him, but seeing him suddenly fall into depression, she couldn't bear to say awful words to him. He might not be a good man, but still he was her father. To divert her father's attention, Sylvia had no choice but to say to him, Dad, weren't you talking about me just now? Why did you suddenly stop? David turned to look at Sylvia, who looked so much like Caitlin, feeling heartburn. He still remembered how happy his life was back when he and Caitlin just had the 2 children. However, he made that stupid mistake because of Esma. Recently, he had learned what kind of person Esma really was, and regretted it so badly. He couldn't even believe how blind he was back then. If only he could turn the clock back. If that thing hadn't happened, his life would be so much better. But now, his son often made him angry, and his daughter did the same. And after all that suffering, his ex-wife tortured him. He felt that his life was really too harsh.
Don't talk to me. Tell that boy to leave. Tell him not to show up in front of me again.
David was now full of grievances that he could not vent.
You need to step over my dead body before you get together with him.
Sylvia felt a little speechless. It's not that serious, she thought. As she was thinking, her phone rang in her room. She hurriedly answered the call. It was Caitlin calling.
Sylvia, who are you with?
Caitlin sounded serious as well.
Your dad said that you're with a man whore?
Mom, Dad doesn't know. How can you believe him? I'm not with anyone.
How can you let a man walk naked in your apartment then?
Caitlin was a little worried as well.
Sylvia, I know that you haven't forgotten Jeremy and that you do love him.
There must be some other reason that made you break up with him.
But you can't give up on yourself and be with just a random guy.
Mom, I swear, it's just a male friend of mine staying at my place for one night. We slept in 2 different rooms. He came out to use the bathroom with his upper body bare and Dad just saw him.
It's still wrong. You're a girl and he's a guy. How can you let a guy stay in your home?
My brother has met him. You can ask him about him. Please stop nagging me. I didn't do anything wrong anyway. Sylvia was nearly drowned by her mother's nagging, so she directly ended the call. When she walked out of her room, Benjamin had already put his shirt on. David was standing on the balcony, glaring at him while smoking. Sylvia suffered a headache, wondering why Benjamin's people hadn't come to pick him up. Right when she was having that thought, a knock at the door was heard. Sylvia's eyes glowed, thinking that maybe God had heard her prayer. She hurriedly answered the door. As she expected, the 2 people who had picked Benjamin up the last time were standing there. You finally showed up. Please take him away, she said to them. We're sorry, the elegant man said apologetically. Benjamin had seen them too, and frowned slightly. Sylvia gave a bitter smile and said, Why do you have to wait until the morning to find out he's missing? Couldn't you just check on him in his room at night? You know that he has a poor sense of direction and that he gets lost very easily. Seeing her perfectly clean apartment. That man was so good at cleaning. Even professional people couldn't do it as well as he did. If he ever got lost again, Sylvia would still consider bringing him back. April's apartment. April had an optional course at 10 in the morning. She was in no rush to get up and slept late. Since she didn't get up, Aaron didn't go to work either. He stayed in bed and put his arm around her. For a very long time, he hadn't gotten to see her sleeping in the bed when he opened his eyes in the morning. He propped his head up with an elbow on the pillow and looked at her. Sometimes he fiddled with her hair, and other times he kissed her cheeks. It was simple and nice at first, but after a couple of kisses, he started losing control of his body. For a man, sexual desire was always the strongest when he got up every morning. April's eyes were closed, but she wasn't in a deep sleep. She could still feel things. She felt that Aaron was kissing her, but then she felt something not so right. She opened her eyes, turned, and found her own hand heading south. She had completely underestimated how shameless he could be. She blinked and then abruptly threw herself into his arms. Husband. She rarely called him that so sexily. Boiling blood gushed straight to Aaron's brain. April, call me that again. Aaron slightly tightened his arm that was around her waist. He didn't dare to press her too hard, but only brought her slightly closer to him. Husband, I love you. April turned and leaned on his chest. Aaron could never survive that. He lowered his head and pressed his lips against hers. Surprisingly, his woman suddenly became so passionate. It seemed that they had indeed parted for too long. If she wasn't pregnant, he would merge into one with her immediately. April kissed him back deeply and pulled out her hands to stroke his chest. Aaron kissed her harder and harder, more and more deeply. He even wanted to swallow her entirely. His body suffered a much greater pain than he had ever suffered. At that moment, April suddenly covered her belly with both hands and let out a moan. Aaron took fright as he thought that he had gotten too excited and hurt her. I don't know. It hurts. April knitted her brows and wore a painful look on her face. Aaron immediately sat up and put on his pants in a hurry. Right at that moment, April suddenly kicked his butt. She was too excited and failed to restrain her strength. So, as a result, she kicked Aaron directly off the bed. Hearing the loud thud, she guiltily and hurriedly sneaked into the bathroom. April! Aaron picked himself up as he moaned in pain. His handsome face was contorted in anger. He decided to chase after her as she slipped away. April shut the bathroom door quickly and turned the lock. Aaron pounded on the door loudly. He wanted to skin her alive. His little junting was torturing him. His desire had reached a peak after her performance. April, open the door now. I feel miserable. Aaron's knees and arms hurt, especially his lower abdomen. I can't help you. I'm pregnant. April was chuckling inside the bathroom. She could imagine his agony. Too bad for him. He should have held himself back more now that she was pregnant.
Don't come out for the rest of your life, then,
Aaron said grumpily. He lay back on the bed and tried to hold himself together. As he was enduring his pain, Caitlin called him and said, You said you met one of your sister's male friends. David went to your sister's place this morning and he was going crazy when he found out that a man was staying over at her place. I asked Sylvia about it and she told me that you knew the man. Aaron sat upright and his expression looked sour.
Who? Except for Roger, I don't know any other man in her life. Is she crazy? How could you bring over a man at night? That's preposterous.
She said that you know him. Your dad called him a gigolo, so he must be very good-looking. Caitlin had a headache. Her son broke up a while back, and now her daughter seems like she was in a questionable relationship. It was exhausting being a mother.
Oh, wait. Could it be that little brat?
Aaron frowned. Who? Which family is he from? How's his character? His looks? I won't accept him if he isn't good-looking. Aaron frowned.
He's quite a peculiar boy. He doesn't care for me at all. He ignored me when I tried to speak to him. I think he's mute, and I don't think I can accept him.
He's so unimpressive? Caitlin was a little disappointed.
Yeah, you'll definitely have a headache if Sylvia gets together with him.
Seems like I have to quickly introduce someone to Sylvia. Caitlin was getting worried now. I'm gonna ask around for any eligible bachelors.
Go ahead.
He had a child now, and he wouldn't mind if Sylvia started looking for her own romance, too. After 10 minutes, April emerged from the bathroom. Aaron's active volcano had already erupted with his own help. He was still frustrated, and just as he moved, April said quickly, I am carrying a child now, and you shouldn't be careless. Don't hurt our baby.
Aaron gritted his teeth. Don't you think that's a little much? How could you kick me off the bed? That really hurt.
It was a small lesson for you. You should watch yourself now that I'm pregnant. April grunted. Aaron was extremely frustrated. The doctor had told him that they shouldn't sleep together for the first 3 months of pregnancy. How was he going to bear the rest of the time? Although it was a good thing that she was pregnant, it was torture for him. At 10 in the morning, Esma dolled herself up and drove her red Ferrari to the shopping mall. As she parked, a black car suddenly pulled in front of her. 2 big men and a fat old woman clambered out. Esma was horrified when she saw them. Esma had never met her before, but had seen photos of her 2 sons in Peter's home. Her photos had appeared in some magazines as well. Esma clearly remembered that Peter's wife, Caroline, was 68 years old, although her fatness made her look younger than her real age. She did not know how to make herself look good. With the clothes that she was wearing, her waist and legs looked huge. Her face looked like a giant pancake. Thankfully, her hair was not gray. Seeing the 3 people show up together, Esma immediately had a bad feeling. She turned, tempted to run, but ended up being pressed up against her sports car by Peter's 2 sons. Caroline walked over, spent some time looking at her from head to toe, then glanced at the luxurious car. Afterwards, she said infuriatingly, What a little fox. When did your dad buy me such an expensive car? It's worth millions. Madam, do you have some kind of misunderstanding? I don't know you, said Esma uneasily.
You don't know us?
Peter's elder son sneered.
Why didn't you tell my father that you didn't know us when you seduced him? Why didn't you say that when you slept with my father? You're such a slut. You're over 50, yet you still can't do something like that. Since you like to seduce people so much, I'll let you have enough of it today.
After saying that, he slapped Esma on the face. He was tall and strong. The slap made Esma dizzy, making her head hit the car door. When she recovered from the dizziness, Peter's younger son rushed over, grasped her hair, slapping her several times. Watching, Caroline felt it wasn't enough. As her 2 sons were holding Esma down, she came up and kicked her a few times. Esma was no match for the three of them. In a short while, she became defenseless and tasted blood from her own mouth. She murmured, begging for help. But there were only a few cars in the parking lot. Occasionally, a few cars drove past them, but no one had the courage to try to stop Caroline and her sons. Finally, they stopped slapping her. She thought it was the end, but she was wrong. Peter's two sons began punching and kicking her. Please, please stop, please, I won't do it ever again. Esma couldn't take any more of it. She had always lived a good life. Why did she ever suffer something like this? Strip her. She loves to seduce men so much. Let every man see her, Caroline ordered. Esma began trembling with fear, hurriedly gripping her own clothes. She couldn't handle that kind of humiliation. However, she was all alone. How could she ever win over these three people? Before long, the three ripped off all of her clothes. Caroline was even recording it with her phone. No, please, please give me my clothes back. Esma had never experienced something like this. She almost collapsed. If her daughter and other families knew about this, she wouldn't be able to face them the rest of her life.
A woman like you doesn't need clothes.
Peter's eldest son didn't give the clothes back to her, but grabbed the purse which she was holding in her hands. Esma gripped the purse with all her strength. She just wouldn't let it go. Her car keys and phone were all in her purse. If she let them take that away too, she would really have nowhere to hide. Please, don't take it. I promise I'll never see your father again. Her face was swelling, so she couldn't even pronounce clearly. Peter's younger son landed a kick into her lower abdomen. She screamed in pain, fell to the ground, and curled up. She was unable to stand. Caroline spat at her, then said to her sons, Let's go. The three people got into their car and left. In the parking lot, Esma laid on the ground for a while. Half of her body was disabled from moving. She was only sent to the hospital when the security guard arrived at the scene. Peter received a telephone call from the police and he hurried to the hospital. He was shocked to see Esma lying on the hospital bed. Esma maintained herself well. She was pretty even though she was over 50 years old. Now, lying in the hospital bed, her face was swollen like a pig's head. She was dressed in the hospital gown and her neck and arms were battered with injuries. Esma covered her face and burst into tears the moment she saw him. Peter, don't look at me. I can't face you like this.
Who did this? Which bastard beat you up like this?
Peter was heartbroken and he quickly went forward to hug her.
Don't cry anymore.
It was your wife and your two lovely sons. Esma buried herself in his chest and cried. They peeled off all my clothes too. I can't believe I had to experience that at this age. I've already told you I don't want to be with you. You assured me you could take care of things with your wife. How did it turn out like this? Peter, I think we better break up. This is too much for me. I can't bear to live like this. Peter looked guilty. He felt bad as he watched her sob.
Those two little bastards. Don't cry. Well,
they even took nude photos of me. I don't want to live anymore, Esma said as she started banging her head against the bedside cupboard. Peter pulled her back and comforted her.
Don't worry. I'll retrieve the photos for you. That bitch had overdone it this time. I thought we could just maintain a cordial relationship since we were married for over 20 years. Don't worry. I'll divorce her as soon as possible.
Don't. I don't want you to ruin your family, Esma said as she swallowed her tears and shook her head. What will happen to your children if you divorce?
They've all had their own families long ago. If they still want to inherit my assets, they should know better than to go against me.
Peter hugged and comforted her. Esma laid in his arms as she stilled her gaze in determination and hatred. She wouldn't let this matter rest easily. Those three people, she would make them pay for what they did to her today. At Splingo, Aaron emerged from his meeting and Marvin approached him with a phone in his hand.
We've got Caroline's phone.
Aaron took the phone from him, expressionless. Marvin said awkwardly,
Esma's photos are all inside. I encrypted it with a password. Did you look at it?
Aaron raised his brows. Marvin shivered nervously.
I only saw one, just to confirm. That body, she's over 50 years old, right? I'm not into that.
Aaron chuckled.
What's hard to stomach about it is that she did charm David and Peter with her body. Should be quite something. I should send it over to David and let him have a look.
Marvin could imagine David's reaction. He would probably feel as bad as eating shit.
Are you going to threaten Esma with the photos?
Marvin asked.
She's been sent to the hospital, so if you threaten her with these photos, perhaps she would hand over the evidence that we want. You never know. Although most people care about their reputation, she's quite a shameless woman. She might not agree to my conditions.
Aaron was playing with the phone.
When I asked you to get the phone, the only thing holding me back from posting the photos online is Jenica and Uncle Lewis. She saved my grandma after all. She has nothing to do with this.
Marvin nodded. Jenica was so unlucky that she had such a mother.
Esma didn't call Miss Rodriguez after she got into the hospital. She only called Peter,
Marvin said.
I'm glad that she still has some sense of shame. She's afraid that her daughter might know about all these.
Aaron showed disgust on his face when saying,
Now, let's see what Peter is going to do. If he turned out to be impervious to this situation, he shouldn't blame me for being impolite.
Marvin smiled.
I've bought those people who Esma hired to stalk Miss Eisenberg so he won't suspect her. Just in case, keep a close eye on him. She is pregnant after all. We need to be careful. I have to get our dad out of prison as soon as I can. Hopefully we can get married this year.
The more he thought about it, the more delighted he was. He told himself that he must watch those people closely, in case some other unexpected problems might occur. 5 days later, while having dinner in a riverside restaurant with Aaron, April was checking a Weibo on her phone as she felt a little bored. There was news that Peter, the shareholder of Esma, was going to divorce with his wife. Last time you said that Esma is Peter's mistress. Is that right? April showed the news to Aaron and said, Is she going to become Mrs. Williams? Aaron glanced at her phone, then tasted the codfish. He then responded in a bland tone.
The older he is, the more muddled he becomes.
All men like pretty women. April gave him a sideways glance and said, You might be obsessed with some woman too when you got old. Aaron put down his chopsticks, curved his lips in a smile, and replied,
I'm not sure if I'll be obsessed with some other woman, but I am sure that that some woman will be obsessed with me. That is inevitable.
April rolled her eyes. If you dare flirt with another woman, I'll find another man and make you so angry. Just like what your mother did to your father. Hearing that, Aaron couldn't help but think of David. Yesterday, his grandfather called and told him that David was having high blood pressure recently and that he planned to retire early. That was probably because he was always angry. You said that you know how to deal with Esma? What if she became Mrs. Williams? April was getting worried.
Peter owns a public company and I am the financier. Do you think he can win me?
Aaron laughed carelessly. Seeing the mysterious smile on his face, April didn't know what to say. He did know how to play the business game. Peter was an industrialist. He might not be a match for Aaron in business.
The day after tomorrow, go to Chicago with me.
Aaron refilled April's juice glass.
Magma Group is holding a shareholders meeting in the Holiday Resort in the film and television base. I need to be there.
I have classes, April replied.
You're not going to New Jersey in the middle of the month anymore, so you can ask for leave,
Aaron reminded her.
Didn't you say you wanted to convince YCC Corporation?
April's eyes glowed. That was an opportunity.
Take the opportunity,
Aaron said as he put a shrimp on her plate. At that moment, the waiter served a mushroom chicken soup. Smelling the soup, April immediately felt sick. She hurriedly dragged over a bin and brought up what she had just eaten. Aaron quickly stood up and patted her on the back. After vomiting, April barely had time to catch her breath before the second round started. She even vomited some bile, which made a strong bitterness linger in her mouth. When her stomach was finally emptied, she wiped her mouth, raised her head, and weakly leaned against Aaron's lap and said, I can't smell mushrooms. It makes me sick.
Take the chicken soup away.
Aaron waved at the waiter. Seeing this woman in his arms who was tender and soft like a cat, his heart twitched from time to time. makeup to look pretty. Her skin was fair and flawless, just a little tired looking. Even with her tired eyes, she looked like a precious beauty. Any man's heart would flutter at the sight of her. The two of them walked down to level 1, where they were going to dine. When they opened the door to the private chamber, Aaron walked in with his arm around April's waist. There were only 2 shareholders who were females. The rest were middle-aged men. When April appeared, everyone stared. She was wearing a pair of white cargo pants and an army green jacket. Aaron held her close in his arms. She looked precious and young. The men were used to seeing sexy, made-up women, and it was a fresh sight to see someone so innocent-looking and prudent. She looked beautiful and fresh. Isaac watched them as they walked across the room. His heart ached. April looked as she did when she was 18, perfect and pure.
Look, Mr. Bennett, you're making all of us jealous. None of us brought our girlfriends along for this meeting. Only you did. And yours is so pretty. We should have all brought our wives.
Mr. Rodriguez joked around.
Yeah.
The men were agreeing with him.
I'm purposely making all of you jealous.
Aaron looked around the room, and the only empty seats were next to Isaac. He pulled out the chair for April before taking the seat next to Isaac.
Mr. Bennett, we just ordered a couple of dishes. You can order whatever you like.
Another executive pushed the menu towards him.
Something spicy. My girlfriend wants to eat something spicy.
Aaron opened the menu and asked April gently,
What do you want to have?
April wanted something strongly flavored, so she ordered beef and ox tripe and spicy sauce with poached beef and chili oil. Mr. Rodriguez laughed.
Mr. Bennett, your girlfriend takes her spice well, doesn't she? Only recently,
Aaron replied with a smile. Isaac was puzzled after hearing him. He never remembered April as someone who liked spicy food. After they ordered the dishes, Aaron said to Isaac,
When I arrived, I saw many tourists roaming the place, but not many crews filming shows. Expenditure. All right, we're only having dinner. The shareholder meeting isn't started yet. Everybody calm down.
Aaron raised his glass, saying with a bland yet very influential voice,
Stop giving Mr. Davidson a hard time. He's young, after all. There's too many responsibilities on his shoulders. He's working hard, and look at him. He has even lost weight lately.
Isaac gripped his glass. If Aaron didn't push him harder and harder, how would he be so deeply troubled? He had even lost his appetite. The food was served slowly. While chatting with the other shareholders, Aaron didn't forget to pick fish bones or peel shrimps for April. The others all noticed. A female shareholder said jokingly, Mr. Bennett, you're so nice to your girlfriend. You even pick fish bones for her.
Yeah, I've spoiled her.
Aaron looked at April and gave a sweet grin.
Your girlfriend is so lucky.
Mr. Doris picked up his wine glass, stood up, and said,
Come on, little girl. Let me propose a toast to you.
April was stunned. Aaron raised her cup and said,
She can't drink. I'll toast on her behalf. Why can't she drink just a little bit?
Mr. Doris joked around. Aaron waved his hand.
She really can't.
At this moment, a plate of coriander and black fungus salad was served. April couldn't stand the smell and rushed out. She felt sick.
Excuse me,
Aaron said as he calmly stood up, grabbed a packet of tissues, and followed her. It seemed like this happened often enough. The shareholders in the room exchanged knowing looks. Someone finally said,
Is Mr. Bennett's girlfriend pregnant? This happened to my wife a lot too when she was pregnant.
Isaac froze as he continued to look out the door. He was devastated. His mind went blank and his body felt weak. Pregnant? How could it be? Another female director agreed. It does seem that way. I was like this when I was carrying my daughter. Certain smells triggered my nausea. Mr. Bennett didn't let her drink any alcohol either. Maybe it wasn't because she couldn't hold her liquor well. Before she could finish, Isaac downed a cup of white wine and slammed the empty glass on the table with a loud bang. The room went silent. Everyone had heard about the fact that Aaron's girlfriend was Isaac's ex-fiancée. They had also heard about him snatching her family's company and having an affair with the post-fame celebrity, Rosaria Miller. They even knew about his malicious attempts to ruin her career and studies. He had a terrible reputation, and many of the directors were not big fans of him. Most businessmen were capable people, including all the directors present in the room. They didn't want to work with someone so disloyal and heartless as Isaac. He was too ruthless and cruel. He seemed like he was willing to resort to anything for the sake of his own success and wealth. They wouldn't trust him enough to invest their benefits in him. He was probably embarrassed now that he'd heard about his ex-fiance's pregnancy. It was a hit to his pride. They didn't sympathize with him. In fact, they gloated at his situation. After downing an entire cup of white wine, Isaac felt a prickly burn in his epigastrium. Although he had already heard about them getting back together, he was still madly jealous. He had comforted himself with the fact that April was not married to him yet, but now that she was pregnant, there was no way that she would return to him again. He couldn't accept that. He found it difficult to breathe. His April was so young. How could she be pregnant? She must have caught a cold or something. She looked pale when he'd seen her earlier. Aaron returned to the room with April. He moved the plate of salad away from their seat and said,
"I'm sorry. My girlfriend can't stand the smell now."
She couldn't stand the smell now, but she used to be able to stand it. Mr. Franco's eyes glistened and he chirped,
"Mr. Bennett, are you going to be a father?"
April blushed. She wasn't married yet, after all. She was still so young. She was embarrassed to be seen through by everyone present and lowered her head. Aaron chuckled brightly. He was in a terrific mood, but he didn't say a word. He neither confirmed nor denied the claim. Everyone present got the message, and they all raised their glasses.
"Congratulations, Mr. Bennett. Here's a toast to you. Don't forget to invite us to your wedding banquet."
"I'm toasting to you, too." Someone led the celebration cheers, and everyone proceeded to stand up. Only Isaac remained seated. He raised his cup, and his handsome face was pale as a sheet. He looked like he was in a daze, as if his soul had left his body. Aaron smiled at him and said,
"Mr. Davidson, everybody has given their congratulations to me. Aren't you gonna congratulate me?"
Isaac raised his pretty but expressionless face and looked at Aaron. He was handsome and high-spirited. His black, bright eyes seemed to contain a slight trace of defiance. April, who sat beside Aaron, didn't even glance at Isaac. She had been quietly picking at vegetables. Isaac could only see her profile. Suddenly, he couldn't hear anything but the buzzing noises in his head. In a daze, he heard someone calling him.
"Isaac! Isaac, wait for me!"
That voice seemed to come from a long distance away.
"Mr. Davidson, Mr. Bennett is talking to you."
Seeing his absent-minded look, the shareholder beside him spoke to him. Isaac suddenly woke up. He abruptly stood up. His thigh bumped into the table as he stood up too quickly. He didn't sense any pain. He picked up a bottle of white wine, poured himself a full glass of it, and then emptied the glass without taking a glance at the people around him. After that, he threw the glass to the floor, stepped away from the table, and left, taking big steps. All of that happened too suddenly, so the others on the scene were all a little stunned. After he left, Mr. Doris complained.
"What did he mean? We are congratulating Mr. Bennett, yet he smashed a glass to ruin our mood." "It's okay. Mr. Davidson wasn't in a good mood. Forgive him."
Aaron smiled delightedly, as if nothing could mar his good spirits. Seeing that he wasn't angry, the others sighed with relief. Someone asked the waiter to clean the floor, and then people continued drinking. A dinner couldn't possibly end quickly when there were men drinking together. Finished eating, April felt a little bored. The room was drenched in the smell of alcohol, which made her feel a little uncomfortable. So she turned to Aaron and said, "I'm going out to take a walk in the garden. I need some fresh air." Aaron nodded and said,
"Let Marvin go with you. Isaac is here, so I'm a little worried."
April nodded. After leaving the VIP room, April strolled in the hotel. The hotel was large with a small lake and a pavilion surrounded by willows. April walked around the lake. The night breeze in May was very pleasant. She talked to Marvin occasionally. About 20 minutes later, when they were preparing to go back, they saw Isaac coming over. His face was red and so were his eyes. That was probably because the alcohol that he had had earlier in the VIP room had kicked in. Marvin calmly paced himself in front of April. Isaac came closer, glared at him with a pair of red eyes, and said,
"Move. I need to talk to her." "Mr. Davidson, you're drunk," said Marvin blandly. "There's nothing for you to say to her anymore. Leave her alone."
Hearing that, Isaac sneered.
"There's a lot for us to talk about, such as what happened between Kenneth and my family. April, don't you want to know?"
Marvin frowned. Before he said anything, April's voice came from behind him. "Marvin, it's okay." Marvin dropped his arm. Isaac walked to April step by step, fixing his greedy eyes on her face.
"I want to talk to you in private."
"That's not gonna happen," Marvin replied immediately. "It's okay. He has something to say. Just let him say it. There are cameras everywhere. I believe he won't do anything to me unless he really wants to go to jail or doesn't care about his mother, who's still living in a nursing home." April smiled and said to Marvin, "Just go and wait for me over there."
"Bennett, it's all my fault."
Marvin had no choice but to take the fall for the incident.
"I'm deducting half a month of your salary. Go back and reflect on it. Leave,"
Aaron ordered him coldly. April opened her mouth to plead for Marvin, but Aaron turned to look at her angrily. She had no choice but to swallow her words. After Marvin left, she went forward and tugged on his sleeves coyly. "I'm going to brush my teeth. Don't be mad anymore."
"What's the use of that? If it works, why is he so smitten with your luscious lips?"
Aaron was pissed off. He reached forward to rub her lips forcefully.
"Only I can taste the goodness of your luscious lips."
"It hurts." April's lips were red and raw now. She frowned and looked hurt. Aaron couldn't bear to continue. But he was still angry.
"Go brush your teeth, shower, and wash your hair too. You have to finish a tube of toothpaste."
"Why must I shower?" April couldn't help but ask.
"Because he hugged you and touched your hand?"
Aaron rested his palm on his forehead and waved her along.
Go now. I can't even bear to think about it. My headache is coming back at the thought of what happened."
April was speechless for a moment. "Since when do you have headaches?"
"When I'm running a fever,"
Aaron said, looking at her coldly.
"Do you have a problem with that?"
"No." April quickly turned to grab her clothes. Since she was scrubbing herself clean, she took a long time in the bathroom. After 50 minutes, she had dried her hair and she emerged from the bathroom in a baby blue sleeping gown. Isaac was still at the head of the table, with Aaron right beside him. Aaron raised his head and said pridefully,
"Mr. Davidson, were you seriously injured last night? Did you get a doctor to check it out?"
Isaac looked up coldly and his lips moved.
"My injuries don't matter. I got to kiss your girlfriend last night, after all."
Aaron narrowed his eyes. There was an icy atmosphere in the room, and everyone could feel it. No one dared to make a sound, and they all cursed Isaac in their heads. What a lunatic! Why would he antagonize someone else's girlfriend like that? They were determined to vote him off the board of directors this time.
"I understand. My child's mother was your ex-fiancée after all. It's normal for you to feel resentment."
Aaron was toying with the fountain pen in his hands.
"I think you should see a doctor. You're not like me." And after seeing my injuries from last night, April peeled off my clothes and kissed every single one of my wounds. After her nourishment, my wounds don't hurt at all anymore.
Isaac's temples throbbed. Mr. Franco broke into a laugh.
"I'm so envious of you, Mr. Bennett. Miss Eisenberg is so sweet to you." "That's true."
Aaron sighed slightly.
Sometimes I really feel like she's spoiling me. Before she got pregnant, she always went all the way to my villa after class to make my favorite dishes for me. She peeled shrimp and deboned fish for me. I told her that she shouldn't be doing that kind of work. You know, we should be nice to women. But she wouldn't listen to me. She said that she'll spoil me until I can't accept any other woman. I had no way to change her mind. By now, I'm really used to being spoiled by her.
Mr. Franco blinked, suddenly looked behind Aaron and said,
Miss Eisenberg.
Aaron froze briefly, then turned back. April and Marvin were both standing behind him, and he had no idea when they had arrived. Marvin was trying very hard not to burst into laughter when April was blinking and looking at him with a faint smile.
Aaron coughed. Why are you here?
April curved the corners of her lips, abruptly stepped forward, bent over and gave him a kiss on the lips. After that, she said in a soft and low voice, "You left a file in the room. I was just bringing it to you." Aaron's legs turned limp even after that short kiss, and his ears reddened suspiciously. "This woman is so bold," he thought. "She actually kissed me on the lips in front of so many people." He considered himself a thick-skinned person, yet he rarely did anything like that. He was surprised that she had done it so calmly and naturally. He had liked it, though.
"Marvin could have brought it to me,"
he said. "But I missed you. I haven't seen you in 10 minutes. April conveniently and affectionately adjusted his tie, then continued. "Finish the meeting quickly. I'll pick out the fish bones for you at lunch." Aaron didn't even know how to respond. April's fingers lingered on his tie for a few seconds before she left. When walking past Isaac, she didn't even give him a glance. Isaac watched her in shock. He felt like his heart had suffered so much pain that it had turned numb. He had been with her for a long time, yet she had never been that nice to him. In front of Aaron, she was exquisitely dainty and ravishingly beautiful. Yesterday, he had tried to make her and Aaron uncomfortable, but unexpectedly, the two of them hadn't been affected at all. Mr. Franco laughed.
"Mr. Bennett, I'm really impressed. You're so good at this. How nice Miss Eisenberg is to you."
Aaron scornfully glanced at Isaac, who seemed to be very upset at that moment. That anger that he'd had the day before was completely gone.
"That's right. She'll always say that she'll be nice to me for her entire life. I really have no other choice but to accept it."
April, who was walking out of the conference room, happened to hear that. She felt so speechless that the corners of her mouth even twitched a little. Usually those words were used by women to show off, yet he had used them himself. Looking at his perky face, she wanted very much to tell everybody the truth. However, in order to make him happy, she had tried her best to coordinate with him.
"Miss Eisenberg, Clark is over there,"
Marvin said to her in a deep voice. April nodded. She had already seen Clark, who had been standing behind a window long before. The shareholder meeting was a closed one. Marvin didn't have access to the meeting, nor did Clark. The Magma Group wasn't doing very well lately. Isaac was growing more and more short-tempered. Many of the talented staff had left the company, and artists had ended their contracts. All this made Isaac more and more paranoid. He always felt like the people around him were betraying him. For that reason, Clark had to be extra careful. April asked Marvin to wait for her a couple of feet away, then walked over to Clark alone. In a bad mood? She had come up to bring the files to Aaron mainly because she wanted to talk to Clark. Clark glanced at her with a bitter smile and replied,
"The Magma Group owes so much debt. Can I possibly be in a good mood?"
April smiled at him and said, "You're really loyal to Isaac."
"He's not my only boss. He also used to be my friend."
Clark took a drag on his cigarette.
"Miss Eisenberg told me to walk away, since she said it would help build rapport with Clark. I overheard some bits about her mother, and I think he said something about the fact that Miss Eisenberg's mother is an important person."
Aaron's gaze froze, his glare even more piercing now.
"So, before I take care of my father-in-law's business, I'm about to have a powerful mother-in-law?"
If his mother-in-law was too powerful, he could appear small and useless.
I think you better ask Miss Eisenberg about this."
Marvin said. Aaron paused in thought for a moment before walking over to April.
April, you can tell me what's on your mind. Is it about our mother? I heard that she's a powerful person.
April, who was already feeling terrible, now began to sob. Our mother. She wondered if Melissa would beat him to death if she heard him. My mother came looking for me. April told Aaron about what Isaac had done. The more she talked about it, the more she burrowed herself in his chest. Aaron, I grew up without a mother, and I was always so envious of my peers who had mothers that accompanied them through childhood. I often cried over this when I was young as I watched my friends go shopping with their mothers. Although my father treated me well, some things weren't the same without my mother. But Isaac, he snuffed out the opportunity for us to reunite. She couldn't help but sob. I want to see my mother. I miss her so much. And I want to tell her that I don't blame her for what happened. She didn't do anything wrong back then.
Don't cry anymore.
Aaron wiped away her tears gently. He had hardly ever seen her cry like this before.
I'll help you look for her, and I will definitely make sure that your reunion happens.
But all the evidence was erased. How are you going to find her? April said in defeat. She didn't even come looking for me back when the news of my father was all over the place. She's probably not in the country.
There are bound to be clues left behind.
Aaron hugged her tightly and comforted her with a whisper.
I promise. By the time we get married, I'll have found your mother for you.
Why do you have men's shoes here? April saw them too and was a little stunned. Aaron hadn't left yet? Is it your new boyfriend or your roommate's new boyfriend? Sylvia asked curiously. She didn't know what to say. She couldn't decide if she should tell her about getting back together with her brother. They had made an agreement not to tell other people in case it alerted unnecessary people, as it would be problematic if Esma heard about it. You have a boyfriend? Sylvia was excited. It's okay, don't be nervous. Although you didn't become my sister-in-law, I'm not as unreasonable as my brother. I won't object to you dating another man. I'm so happy for you that I wish my brother could see your new boyfriend. It would drive him mad. Sylvia picked up a pear and started munching on it.
I didn't know you enjoyed watching me suffer.
Aaron walked out from the kitchen with a red apron around his waist. He was holding a garlic that he was mincing, and he looked grim. Sylvia spat out a mouthful of fruit when she saw him and stuttered. My brother?
You know that I'm your brother?
Aaron laughed coldly.
I thought you wanted to drive me mad.
I'm sorry, brother. Sylvia nearly knelt on the floor. I felt really bad just now, and I was just trying to hide my disappointment. She turned towards April and started crying. Sister-in-law, you're my sister-in-law again. I'm so happy for you and my brother that I'm actually crying tears of happiness. April didn't know what to say and turned to Aaron. Quit fooling around. I thought you had already left.
The auntie can't come tonight, so I thought I would stay and cook for you.
Aaron grunted and walked back into the kitchen. Sylvia was in awe and hurried to the kitchen door. She had never seen her brother in the kitchen cooking before. Well done, April. When did you guys get back together? Why didn't you tell me? Sylvia felt uncomfortable suddenly since she had thought that the both of them were single now. Now she was the only single one and she felt lonely and depressed. April blushed, a little embarrassed. It has been a while. Liar! Sylvia poked at her. I thought we were soulmates going through tough times together. It's difficult to explain everything, but we broke up due to certain circumstances. April filled her in briefly. Sylvia was furious after hearing this. How could Esma do such a thing? How shameless of her! So you have to keep this secret for the time being, April said. Don't worry, my lips are sealed. Sylvia was happy for them, but sad for herself at the same time. She sighed and turned to her brother. Brother, since you're so happy now, you have to talk to Mother for me. She's been forcing me to go on blind dates every day recently. I have 3 dates in one day, and it's driving me nuts. April smiled. You can try to meet them. Who knows? You might meet someone suitable. The men that Auntie arranged must be of a certain standard. Sylvia continued munching on her pear. There are rich young masters, famous lawyers, prosecutors, artists, the hospital director's son. So many I can't even remember all of them. All of them sound good. April believed that, as Sylvia's future sister-in-law, she needed to show some concern. Do you have some pictures? Show me. Mom sent me some photos via Instagram. Go ahead. Sylvia threw her cell phone to April. April found the photos. Some of those boys looked sunny and handsome. Some looked humble and reliable. And others looked gentle and elegant. They're all handsome. So many people would be jealous of Sylvia for having such good resources. Actually, I think this lawyer and this prosecutor both seem to be good matches for you. You're a police officer. If you get married to one, you will have a lot to talk about. Sylvia sighed. I'm not interested in any of them. I understand. April nodded. After all, none of them are as pretty as the young man that you brought back last time. Sylvia choked a little. I'm kidding. April smiled. I know that you don't have the room for another person in your heart.
Jeremy is transferring back in July,
Aaron said while cutting vegetables. Sylvia immediately fell silent. At 7 o'clock, Aaron came out of the kitchen with well-cooked food. Don't you have a roommate here? I heard that she broke up with her boyfriend too. Isn't she coming back? I'd like to have a few drinks with her, Sylvia said. She's shooting a music video. April looked worried. Earlier, Winnie locked herself in her room, writing songs. She seemed to have written a song about breakup and her company found it pretty good. They've already started recording it. I think it'll be released in the summer. What a shame. I would very much like to meet her. Sylvia poked at her rice with her chopsticks. Aaron ignored her, but served April a bowl of chicken soup. Sylvia wanted to eat some of that soup, but her brother hit her hand with his chopsticks and said, You can't eat this. Sylvia suffered. I'll only have a little of it. What's the big deal? You made so much. It's okay. You know I have a poor appetite lately. April pushed the soup toward Sylvia.
No, you're eating for two,
said Aaron. What? Sylvia rubbed her ears. What did you just say? Is April... April's face turned red while Aaron proudly raised his eyebrows. Sylvia sprung to her feet and covered her mouth. Oh my God! You guys are so efficient! Am I going to be an auntie? April smiled and said, 6 weeks. Sylvia was stunned for a moment, and then said excitedly, Please give me a pretty and adorable little niece.
I won't be able to stand a boy like my brother.
April stayed silent. She wouldn't be able to stand a boy like that either. Unusually, Aaron didn't argue with her.
It's surely going to be a princess,
he said. Yeah, I'm going to buy so many gifts for my little niece. My mother gave me too much money. I just can't spend it all. While speaking, Sylvia began eating quickly. I need to finish dinner soon and then go shopping for clothes for my niece. Your brother has already bought a lot of clothes for the baby. April was a little speechless. Yeah, but he has poor taste. Sylvia put a piece of pork rib into her mouth and spat it right out and said, Brother, the pork rib is undercooked. How did you cook it? Can my sister-in-law eat that? Aaron glanced at the pork rib, then picked up a piece of it and tasted it for himself. As Sylvia had said, it was undercooked.
How did that happen? I guess this pork rib is especially hard to cook. Before, my pork ribs were always well cooked.
Yeah. Are you sure? Sylvia doubted that.
Of course.
Aaron nodded. April quietly sipped the chicken soup. His pork rib was never well cooked. That day, Sylvia had come to visit and she had needed her company. Otherwise, she would have never let Aaron cook. Her hand on her forehead. Anyone could cook things through, but all his food was raw. That night, Sylvia sent a couple of photos to her. After she saw them, she was almost speechless. She had bought everything in the baby store, even more than Aaron. She had even bought toy cars and Barbie dolls. April was clutching her stomach and laughing away. It seemed like the Bennett family liked girls more. Oh dear baby, you really have to try your best then. Don't be a baby boy, April thought to herself. The next day, April received a call from Chicago when she was getting ready for class.
Hello, Miss Eisenberg. This is Morris Lewis from Chicago. I heard that you aren't planning to continue with the dubbing for our game.
The man sounded very young over the phone. April paused for a while before replying. The man sounded very young over the phone. April paused for a while before replying. I remember that the CEO of Chicago is also a Mr. Morris.
Yes, I am the CEO's son.
Morris laughed as he replied.
I heard your voice when you were still at the company. I think you're perfect for the role of our lead female antagonist in the game. I thought it was quite a pity when I heard that you weren't going to continue with this job. Could it be because of the incident last time? If it is, I sincerely apologize to you. I hope that you will reconsider your decision.
April was stunned. Her work was so good that the CEO's son would call her himself. Thank you for your compliments, and I'm very flattered, but I can't continue with the job due to personal reasons, April said apologetically. We can proceed with the compensation procedures based on the contract.
Is it because of time constraints?
Morris asked again.
If you have no time in the middle of the month, we can delay it until the end of the month.
Aaron emerged wearing a watch. After hearing the conversation, he stepped forward to take over the phone call.
I believe that my secretary already contacted your company. We'll compensate you for whatever is necessary. Don't call us anymore. My girlfriend's voice is so perfect. It's your loss that you decided to switch her around the previous time. There's no changing our minds. Our decision is final.
Morris was shocked.
It's 8 in the morning and you're already together. Did you two spend the night together?
Oh dear. Jeffrey would be devastated if he found out about this. It was the first time he had cared so much for a girl. Aaron's expression turned sour. The man was brazen enough to ask him about that. He must have been eyeing his girlfriend.
Duh. She's my girlfriend. We sleep together every night.
He hung up with annoyance after that. April was staring at him with her mouth agape. You can talk to him, but why did you have to mention anything about us sleeping together?
He brought it up first.
Aaron returned her phone and raised his eyebrow. He wouldn't allow any rivals to get close to her. Since she wasn't going to Chicago anymore, April spent most of her time studying in school quietly. She would watch the news occasionally where she saw Peter Williams of Panache Holdings finally divorced his wife. The netizens were speculating if he had an affair, and shortly after, someone posted a photo of him with another woman at the marriage registry. Upon seeing that, April really admired Esma. She was over 50 years old, yet still she managed to talk Peter into marrying her. Peter was probably enchanted by her. He was a successful businessman, though. He was rich and capable. Therefore, even though many people had been criticizing him, he wasn't affected. However, not long after he got married again, the Prince of Panache's stock suddenly began falling, and the fall lasted for a whole week. Right after that, an article popped up on the internet. The article said that Peter's ex-wife Caroline could bring fortune to her husband, and that the reason why his business had declined so rapidly was that his current wife brought bad luck to him. April read that article with great interest. She had always disliked men who abandoned their wives when they weren't young and pretty anymore. She wondered how Peter would feel when he read that article. Some people said that rich people could do anything, but in fact, most of them were a little superstitious. In Panache, Peter read the article through his thick glasses, then threw his cell phone away.
Ridiculous! Can a woman possibly control Peter's luck? Someone is clearly behind this.
His assistant couldn't help but remind him in a low voice.
This kind of thing never happened before you got divorced.
Peter gave him a cold glare and said,
What? Even you believe this kind of article?
The assistant lowered his head and stayed silent. Peter was very unhappy. Over all these years, he had been through a lot. Reasonably speaking, his company should have been quite stable now. But lately, the price of his stocks was out of control. He was clearly aware that the stock market was very complicated and that someone was targeting his company. While he was thinking, the stock price dropped again. Looking at the changing number, Peter felt as if all his blood had gushed into his brain.
Go, and find out who has undersold the stock of our company,
said Peter Williams, trembling.
Yes.
His assistant hurriedly walked out. He paced in his office. Soon afterward, he received a video call from Esma. Peter, look, which one do you like? Esma showed him 2 bags.
They look pretty much the same.
Peter was feeling annoyed. He was in no mood to pick bags for her. They aren't the same. This one is brown and this one is black, said Esma with a pouting smile. I like them both. Can I get them both?
Whatever you like.
Peter looked at Esma on his phone screen, suddenly thinking of that article. Ever since he had married her, his business had indeed been declining. The more he thought about it, the more annoyed he felt. So he just ended the call. Before long, he received a bill on his phone. $14,000 for 2 bags. He had never thought of $14,000 as an expensive price before. But these days, millions of dollars that belonged to his company had disappeared in the stock market, and that gave him a headache. However, as his wife, Esma knew nothing about it. She was merely obsessed with shopping. His ex-wife could have been too anxious to eat already. His ex-wife, Caroline, had been ill-tempered but thrifty. His assistant walked in with haste. "Mr. Williams, we found it. Mr. Landor from Benglong undersold 30 million shares." Peter was so shocked that his hands were even shaking. "That's impossible. Mr. Landor and I have been good friends for so many years." "It's true." His assistant gave him a bitter smile. Peter hurriedly picked up his phone, found Mr. Landor's number, and called him. "Mr. Landor, what do you want? I've known you for decades. In those years, you've asked me to help you purchase the stocks. Now our stocks have had a 10-fold rise, yet you sold your share just now? How could you do that to me? Are you trying to kill me?" Mr. Landor explained helplessly. "Mr. Williams, I had no choice. You have made some enemies. Do you know that? If I didn't sell my shares, I'd die along with you. I'd be doomed if the price went back to what it was 10 years ago." "What do you mean?" The look on Peter's face turned cold. "Look how the price of Panache stock has drifted down lately. From last week to when I sold my shares today, I've lost hundreds of millions." Mr. Landor said honestly. "I should have sold my shares earlier." Upon hearing that, Peter felt a coldness in his spine. Mr. Landor had undersold his shares today. For that reason, the price would certainly go further down and quicker. By then, more people would undersell their shares. If the situation continued, Panache would really go back to what it had been 10 years ago. The most rapid development of the country's economy had happened in those 10 years. What would happen if the company went back? Peter couldn't even imagine it. Not to mention the fact that there were plenty of people in the market who would be happy to hit a person when he was down. "Why didn't you tell me that earlier?" Peter's tone became slightly more pleasant. "Who's doing this to me?" "All right, for the sake of our friendship, I'll make an appointment with that man for you," said Mr. Landor. "But you may as well try to solve all the problems with him in a peaceful way. He's a master in finance. You're not going to beat him in his game. Besides, he's not an ordinary man." Peter dropped the phone and spent a long while thinking. He couldn't think of anyone whom he had possibly offended. The only bad thing he had done recently was divorce Caroline. Did this have something to do with her? Probably not. Caroline was born into an ordinary family and didn't know anyone who had that kind of power. He had even disliked her for her vulgarity. Was it because of Esma? Peter felt so stressed. Earlier that day, when the stock price reached the bottom limit again, his heart sank along with it. Thankfully, he soon heard from Mr. Landor again. The latter told him that that mysterious person would meet him at a club. The club was a little far away. It was already 6 o'clock when Peter arrived there. He pushed open the door to the VIP room and saw a young man in a dark red suit sitting in there. The light in the room was a little dim, pouring on one side of his face. He had an incredibly handsome, chiseled face and an outstanding presence. Sitting next to him was a pretty lady wearing a sky blue long dress, looking like she was 18 years old. She was leaning on the man's chest, her hair hanging loosely over her shoulders. Peter was slightly stunned. He didn't think that he would be meeting such young people. However, he also realized that the young man's face was very familiar. Half a minute later, he recognized him as Aaron Bennett, the CEO of Splingo. He was only around 30, yet at financing he was scarily gifted. Many of his peers wished that he would suffer some bad luck. However, he was doing perfectly well. He had been investing in more and more fields, from the electrical industry to futuristic techniques to the film and television industry. Peter had always looked down on young people like him. He believed all that Aaron had was given to him by his parents, so earlier when Esma asked him for a favor, he had helped her without hesitation. Now, after seeing Aaron, he started to figure out what had really caused the crisis of his company. "Mr. Williams, please sit down." Upon seeing Peter, Aaron pointed at a chair nearby with his chin. He didn't plan to stand up and greet him. Peter had never been treated so rudely by a junior before and sat back down grumpily.
Mr. Bennett, if you have anything to say, you can find some time to chat with me. You don't need to backstab my company like this. Come on, Mr. Williams. Let me introduce you to my girlfriend, April Eisenberg.
Aaron didn't answer his question, but started introducing April with a happy smile. Peter nodded at her, and he understood everything at once. This woman was the one who Esma was trying to pull apart from Aaron. She had gone to threaten her with evidence. He had asked Esma multiple times, but she had reassured him that she kept a close eye on her. She had also told him that they had already broken up. It seemed like Esma's spies had been bought by Aaron.
Hello, Miss Eisenberg.
Peter nodded at her and took a seat opposite them. April raised her brows. Mr. Williams, I haven't been well recently at all, thanks to you. Peter smiled.
Miss Eisenberg, Mr. Bennett, again, as I said, we can discuss things in a civil manner. Discuss?
Aaron was playing with April's hand.
Why didn't you discuss things with us beforehand? You took Rachel's evidence and threatened my girlfriend, asking her to leave me. What do you think about that? Asking her to betray me and get together with another man?
Peter looked pale all of a sudden.
Didn't you know who I was before you did all this?
Aaron stood up. He was a lot taller than Peter in the first place, but he looked like he was towering over him now.
I've never thought much about Panache Holdings. Although I entered the financial company much later than you did, I know the rules and I play the game much better. If you're going to go against me, you need to have enough capital to play the game. We haven't even started properly yet, and you're already here to see me.
Peter laughed bitterly.
Yeah, we haven't really started playing, but you've already managed to convince my old friend, Mr. Landar, to dump his shares. I have to give it to you, Mr. Bennett.
April thought it was funny how Peter's face was so grim. He had never been humiliated like this in his life before, especially at his current age. Considering all the money in the stock market, he swallowed his pride and said,
Mr. Bennett, you want that piece of evidence, don't you? I don't have it with me. It's with Esma, and she hid it well. I don't even know where she keeps it. You can make her give it to you, though.
Aaron said casually.
You're her husband now, and it's only natural that a wife obeys her husband. If she doesn't hand it over, it means that she's inconsiderate of your company.
Peter could tell there's a chance for salvation from his tone, and he quickly nodded.
I'll get it back for you, for sure. But Mr. Bennett, you have to... I have to what?
Aaron narrowed his gaze, looking menacing.
Mr. Williams, we have to be clear on one thing. I have never had any encounters with you before, nor any feuds. You were the one who interfered with my relationship. You interfered with my father-in-law's business and forced my girlfriend to leave me. Do you know how much agony you put us through in the past month? We had our hearts broken while you were having the time of your life, marrying your second wife. Do you think you can trample on me, Aaron, like this? Or do you think Panache Holdings is so powerful that people fear you? No, no, no,
Peter hurriedly said.
Mr. Bennett, you have no idea. I stupidly let her get into my head. Esma said that her daughter and you were childhood sweethearts and that when you two broke up, her daughter would become your wife. I was thinking that if that really happened, I'd become your relative, right? But she fooled me.
April felt speechless. Back then, Esma had still been his mistress. Relatives? So disgusting. Aaron sat back down, lifted the lid off his teacup, then picked up the cup and took a sip of tea. Peter gave a bitter smile and said,
Mr. Bennett, I won't beg you for anything else, but please stop doing this. My company has suffered a great loss. I'll get that thing for you. Then we'll call it even. We're all businessmen after all. There's no need for us to make things ugly. We can work together in the future. We, Panache Holdings, are planning to expand our business to Southeast Asia. Cut the crap. In 3 days, deliver that thing to me by any means. If it's destroyed, you'll be taking all the consequences,
said Aaron expressionlessly.
Mr. Williams, I believe that you don't want to fall back to the bottom, since you've spent dozens of years climbing to the top. Even if you wanted to start over, you wouldn't have the strength to do it. As for your sons, even though you've given them 50% of your assets, I mean, seriously, they're failures. They failed in the education and real estate industries. I don't think you can rely on them when you're older. Mr. Bennett, You're right.
To Peter's surprise, Aaron had done a thorough background check on his sons as well. Cold sweat began oozing out of his back. Aaron was indirectly warning him that if he didn't do what he was asked, he would destroy his sons too.
Since we've made it clear enough, let's head back. We're not close enough to have dinner together.
Aaron told Peter to leave.
Sure.
Peter didn't want to have dinner with him either. When he walked to the door, Aaron suddenly asked,
I almost forgot to tell you that last time, Esma had an accident in the parking lot because I informed your ex-wife about her. Later, she was robbed on her way back. The robber worked for me, too. I have those photos now.
Peter was stunned. He had suspected that before. However, after it had happened, Caroline had a big fight with him and Esma was injured, so he impatiently got a divorce.
Mr. Bennett, you... What? Are you gonna hit me because I hurt your woman?
Aaron clenched his fist and cracked his fingers, then said,
You can try, but you're old. How many punches can you take? I nearly forgot to tell you that I used to be a special forces soldier. How dare I?
Peter had no choice but to restrain his anger forcibly.
As long as you're aware of that.
Aaron nodded.
I said all this to you just to remind you that if you told Esma that I already knew about this, she could figure out that I had something to do with the accident that happened in that parking lot. In that case, she might not give that thing to you, since she has a grudge against me. Mr. Bennett, don't worry about that. No matter what way, I will make her give that thing to me.
Peter promised again before he left. Are you sure that Peter can get it? April started talking when it was only her and Aaron left in the room.
If he can't get it, do you think he'll let Esma get away with it?
Aaron put an arm around her. The corners of his lips turned up in a cold smile. April paused briefly, feeling that he was right. She was surprised, but it wasn't unbelievable. Although Peter doted on Esma now, if she cost him his entire fortune, gone were the days of gentle, loving care. He might even beat Esma to death. Aaron continued.
For a man like Peter, a woman is just an embellishment. Do you think he really loves Esma? You're wrong. He's old and under no financial stress. He's just looking for a gentle and sweet woman. He might be blinded by someone like her momentarily, but once he loses everything, he won't have the leisurely time to date.
April nodded her head in agreement. I don't understand something. Why did you wait until he married Esma before confronting him? You could have dealt with him much earlier.
Because I want Esma to suffer for the rest of her life.
Aaron looked cunning.
Not every man is as forgiving as I am. I don't mind losing $1 million for you. I'm not going to stop until Panache is only worth a couple of dollars. Although Panache might not go bankrupt, it would be difficult for them to regain their footing, especially at Peter's age. After falling from such a great height, he would vent his frustrations on Esma, and she would become an eyesore for the rest of his life. The worst part would be that he had to see her now that they were tied up together by marriage. Esma would never be able to escape this.
April was stunned. Aaron patted her head.
I've looked up Peter before. He beat his first wife whenever he got into an argument with her. He was quite harsh on her.
April inhaled sharply. Are you saying that he might beat Esma when he is in a foul mood in the future?
Aaron nodded his head. A leopard won't change its spots, he said. He already has a history of beating his wife. He'll continue doing so when things don't go well in the future. That's the reason why I waited for them to get married. If they weren't married, Esma could just walk away when things turned ugly. That would have been too easy on her. I didn't force her to marry Peter after all. They both did so willingly.
Aren't you afraid that Peter will divorce Esma?
Even if he does, he'll only do so after venting his frustrations. Do you think Esma would really spend the rest of her life with him after he lost all his fortune?
Aaron looked disgusted.
Esma spends $1 million every month, he said. Peter won't have that kind of money for her to spend anymore. She would find another man before long. You must understand that Peter is an old man. Do you think that he still has the energy in that aspect? She's looking for money. Without money and sex, Esma won't be staying with him for long. She could betray her own marriage once. She will continue doing so. I don't think Peter is as nice as Uncle Louis, though. I want them to be at each other's throats.
April felt good after hearing that. Peter deserved it anyway. He abandoned his own wife. He despised her clothes and looks after he struck gold. He even beat her. If I were his ex-wife, I would have divorced him long ago. I hate men who beat women.
Don't worry, April. Only you are allowed to beat me in the future. I'm not allowed to hit you.
Aaron was grinning from ear to ear and kissed her on the cheeks.
But you can only hit me on my buttocks.
The sudden change of topic made April feel speechless. What's the fun of spanking you? Can I burn your little brother with a candle? Aaron's legs trembled. He looked at her in the eyes and said,
If you burned me, what would you do when feeling lonely? After all, you have a strong sexual appetite.
I don't. April blushed. You do.
I didn't even want to mention it, but last time when I picked you up at the train station, you took off my pants even before we got into the room. You were so satisfied.
Stop. April couldn't bear listening, so she covered his mouth and interrupted him, saying, You took off my clothes. Aaron held her hand and grasped the opportunity of kissing her palm. April attempted to pull her hand back, but failed. In the end, she was dragged to his side.
April, in a month we can...
Aaron gently and passionately bit her earlobe. April shivered, as if an electric current had just run through her body. Her entire face turned red as she responded with, Aren't we talking about Esma? Will she easily give the evidence to Peter?
That depends on what method Peter's going to use.
Aaron wore a meaningful expression and said,
If he can't do this little thing, I wonder how he earned his current status. A person can do anything if they push hard enough. That's why I let him do it. As a soft-hearted, nice, and kind person, I'm not able to do evil things.
April rolled her eyes. You're the big bad wolf who planned this in the dark. How could you claim that you were nice and kind? She thought. If Peter got the evidence, she would have to spend the whole summer vacation helping Kenneth on the case. On the ride back, Peter was thinking and feeling more and more uncomfortable. In the end, Esma was the reason bad things were happening to him. If it wasn't for her, he wouldn't have offended Aaron or lost so much money. He was born along with the current economic reform. When he was little, his family was poor. He built up his business from nothing. Now his money was gone and he felt a tremendous pain, as though his flesh was being cut. He strongly regretted listening to Esma's fake, sweet words. Suddenly, he thought of the article and somehow felt that Esma was a jinx. Now, before anything else, he needed to get that thing. When he returned to his villa, Esma was doing her skincare very carefully. As he walked in, she glanced at him, then turned back to the mirror, continuing to massage the fine wrinkles around the corners of her eyes. Peter, she said, I heard that Switzerland has developed an anti-wrinkle device. It said that there are no side effects. I'd like to try it. What do you think?
How much?
Peter asked without thinking, as he had a lot on his mind. Not much, just $1 million.
$1 million?
Thinking about the 8 billion won that belonged to his company had disappeared in the stock market today, Peter's heart instantly twitched in pain. Under this very situation, she still knows nothing but how to spend money. Peter, why don't you say anything? Esma turned and asked. Seeing the angry look in Peter's eyes, she gave a start. What's wrong?
You tell me what's wrong.
Peter pointed at her and said,
Because of what you did to April, Aaron has become my enemy. Now he's pulled strings to bring Panache down. Can't you see recently that my company's lost over $1 billion every single day? Earlier today, Mr. Williams undersold all his shares. If this goes on, my company might go bankrupt.
Esma paled. How did Aaron know? Must have been April who told him. That stupid bitch. How dare she play me like a fool? But that's not right. My people have been watching her and she hasn't said anything to Aaron. Unless she told him over the phone. Fine. At most, I'll destroy the thing and let Kenneth spend his life in jail.
Shut up, Peter scolded. To destroy the thing? Did you think that my company is not pathetic enough as it is? Give me the thing immediately. I'll give it to Aaron and this incident will pass.
No. Esma rejected the idea immediately, but when she saw that Peter became more upset, she hurriedly added demurely, Aaron is just a young punk compared to you. There's no reason for you to fear him. How embarrassing would it be if people knew? Normally, Peter's ego would be inflated after hearing this, but But after the series of setbacks this week, her words only provoked him more.
That's right. It's because I listened to these words of yours that I underestimated Aaron. That punk is much stronger than what you and I thought. If I could, I would have settled this on the first day. But now it's getting worse and worse. If you don't give it to me now, don't speak of doing facials in the future. You won't even be able to afford a bag.
Esma gritted her teeth. She couldn't tolerate this. She originally thought she could separate the two, but in the end, she was played like a fool by April. Now she had to take that thing out to save Kenneth and let his family reunite? What about her grievances? Who would take responsibility for her daughter not being able to have children anymore? I remember now. That incident I had in the car park? Was that Aaron who planned that? It must be him who told Caroline about us. Esma pieced it together quickly. I thought it was weird and even questioned our man who told April. He said that there was no problem, and I believed him. Now that I think about it, he must have been related to this. How pathetic he made me look. Beaten like that by others and even stripped in front of all those people. These days, recalling that incident gives me nightmares. She grew angrier as she spoke. I won't give it to him.
Are you crazy?
Peter scolded. You should take revenge for me, Esma said with tears in her eyes. You are my husband, and you said that no one would bully me again.
That depends on who that person is.
Peter was growing impatient.
Do you not spare any consideration for my company? When I have nothing, what can you do? Don't forget you were still my wife. As a woman, you should always put me as your priority.
But I can't swallow this. Esma refused to admit defeat.
Do you think I can? This is a disaster for me. Back then, you lied to me about how close your daughter and Aaron used to be. As long as April broke up with him, your daughter would be able to marry him. In the end, the two of them are still happily together. Also, let me tell you that all those nude photos of yours are with Aaron. He said that if you don't give it to her, she would upload those onto the internet and let your daughter see what you've become. When that happens, you won't have the face to see anyone.
When Peter was done speaking, he saw that Esma's face was stark white. He reined in his displeasure and said gently, Give me the thing. I'll exchange it for your photos.
Esma, don't make your daughter not even want to acknowledge you as her mother. Besides, if your photos are to get out, I won't have the face to see others either.
It's all your fault. Esma burst in tears. If your ex-wife hadn't taken those kind of photos, how could I ever fall into such a situation?
All right, don't cry.
Peter hurriedly patted her on the shoulder and said,
Think about it. If you insist on holding on to that thing, my company will be gone, and your photos will be exposed. Your daughter will disown you. Is April worth so much? Even if you don't care about losing face, your daughter does. Now it is a critical time for her to get a promotion. Listen, give it to me. I know you want revenge, but you got to be patient about it.
His words swayed Esma a little. Can you really get those photos? Are you sure that Aaron will stop doing damage to your company after you gave it to him?
At the very least, he won't destroy my company if I give it to him. If I don't give it to him, my company will be doomed.
Peter looked at her seriously. At that moment, Esma wanted to eat April alive. If she refused to give her the evidence, Peter would certainly have a grudge against her. If she didn't marry him, the worst case would be that she would leave him. However, they had already gotten married. The two of them were in the same boat now, and she wasn't young anymore. Finding another rich man like Peter wouldn't be easy. Also, she couldn't let Jenica hate her even more. All right, I'll give it to you. I'll get it tomorrow, she said reluctantly. At 9 a.m., Aaron walked out of the elevator. Olive came over and said to him, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Williams from Panache is waiting for you in the conference room. Aaron responded. After making a few steps forward, he turned back and glanced at Olive. Mr. Bennett, what can I do for you? Olive asked with a muffled voice.
Nothing.
Aaron headed toward the conference room. Marvin followed closely behind him.
That girl seems to have lost some serious weight.
Aaron abruptly raised his eyebrows and said to Marvin, "I guess you have really hurt her." Marvin felt embarrassed. "I didn't hurt her, Mr. Bennett. You did," he thought. "Who on earth do you like?" Aaron said. "If you don't like her, I may as well transfer her to a department downstairs, in case you guys see each other and get distracted." Marvin lowered his head and said embarrassedly, "Mr. Bennett, I thought what you said to me last time made sense. Before, I thought I had no chance with Winnie. Now, since she's broken up with her ex-boyfriend, I want to give it a shot." Aaron nodded. "What I said last time?" Marvin was speechless. "I don't remember what I said to you before, but I believe that it must have been something inspiring." Aaron patted him on the shoulder and continued saying, "You can go after Winnie when April's father is out of prison." Marvin almost staggered. "That'll be at least 3 months later," he said. "Yeah, I think you're right." Aaron pushed open the door of the conference room and walked in. Looking at his back, Marvin wanted to die. Are you sure that no one will try to pursue Winnie in the next 3 months? She might even have a new boyfriend in 3 months. He sighed and gave a bitter smile. In the conference room, Peter saw Aaron coming in. He quickly stood up and handed something to Aaron, saying, "Mr. Bennett, this is what you want." Aaron took it and gave it to Marvin. Marvin immediately plugged it into the computer. Soon, Isaac's voice was heard from the computer. "Mr. Bennett, you see, I've already given you what you wanted, my company." "Don't worry, the stock price will stop falling this week," said Aaron with a bland tone. Peter's expression changed. "Mr. Bennett, you can't do this. I've already given you the—"
Mr. Williams, yesterday I didn't promise if you passed me the things, I would immediately reverse the plummeting value of your company's stocks. Did I? I'm not a god. The stock prices don't rise or fall at my command. These things take time. You don't have to worry, the price will fall by at most $4 to $5. You'll still take home a few billion to enjoy your retirement. Aaron sat down on the sofa and crossed his legs. Peter's face twitched in anger. His family's net worth had been over $20 billion, but now it was only worth a few billion. This made no sense to him. "You seem to have something to say. Am I being too charitable with you?" Aaron rested his arms on the back of the sofa and said coldly, "Or are you thinking you should get away scot-free after trying to play games with me?" "No." "That's good then." Aaron was satisfied. "I don't have a superb memory, but who knows? In 2 years after marrying my girlfriend and living life harmoniously, all these unpleasant memories will be forgotten. It's not like we will never work together again. After all, I quite admire the entrepreneurship of someone who has taken his company through all the ups and downs." Peter could not manage a smile. He was now 60 years old. In a few years, would he still have the energy to do such things? But Aaron could have been insinuating that if his marriage turned out to be less than harmonious, he would find trouble with him again. The thought of this gave Peter palpitations. He felt the urge to give Esma a dressing down. He hurriedly said, "Miss Eisenberg is young and beautiful. The two of you look like a match made in heaven. Your marriage will definitely be harmonious. Thank you for your blessings. Mr. Williams is married too, and I wish the both of you many happy years ahead." Aaron looked down and fiddled with his engagement ring. Peter noticed the ring upon Aaron's ring finger. From the looks of it, he would really marry April soon. He silently cursed at his rotten luck. He should have tried to understand the relationship between the two of them before agreeing to Esma, or at least look at April's photos. He had seen for himself yesterday a young and tender beauty. He had seen many beautiful women in his life, but only a few with such allure. What man would not fall for her? "Speaking of which," Aaron suddenly spoke in a subtle tone, "I have an affinity with Mr. Williams. Back then, Esma nearly got married to my father. I never thought she would eventually marry you." Peter was startled. He did not understand his words. Aaron saw from the blank expression on his face that he was clueless. "Mr. Williams, you don't know the reason your wife divorced her ex-husband? It was because it derailed her marriage when she got involved with my father." Peter's facial expression completely changed. Since he had decided to marry Esma, he had accepted that she had been divorced. But she had always maintained that she divorced her ex-husband because of the clashed personalities. She had never brought this up before. "So, you see, I became child to a single parent too." Aaron spread his palms and said with a tinge of sadness and regret, But you can understand, looking at how handsome, tall, and well-built I am. My father must have looked like me when he was younger. Any normal woman would have been attracted to him. Uncle Louis just fell short ever so slightly, so...
Peter looked as if his face was solidified in ice. Aaron was trying to tell him that Esma cheated on her husband because she was attracted to David's good looks and great body shape. What about Peter Williams himself? He was old and wasn't good in bed, so someone like Esma would cheat on him sooner or later. Last night, he was thinking that as long as Esma gave that thing to him, he would tolerate her and try to live a good life with her. Little did he think she would turn out to be a slutty bitch. And he was so fooled by her. Many men were like him. They allowed themselves to cheat on their wives, but demanded their wives to be 100% loyal.
I think she hates me so much because my father isn't willing to marry her even after he got divorced.
Aaron clicked his tongue, shook his head, and said,
Years ago, she and my mother were good friends, but still, she did something like that. Earlier, she went to my father's office to inquire after his health. For their old story's sake, that stupid father of mine wasn't on alert against her, but let her take that thing anyway.
Every word Aaron said was like a knife sticking right into Peter's heart, making him want to die. He just realized that he divorced his wife for a woman like that. Because of what he did, his children and grandchildren even stopped visiting him. Was he blind? Or was she really that good at faking?
Mr. Williams, I didn't say these things to sow discord between you and your wife. After all, those things happened 8 or 9 years ago. If you'd like to know the details, I'm sure you can find some. But think about it. If she didn't do those awful things, why was her daughter estranged from her? Perhaps she has changed after all the lessons she learned.
After saying that, Aaron sighed again, stood up, and continued.
Mr. Williams, I'm not going to show you out. I still got a lot of work to do. Sure.
Peter felt as if fire was burning inside his head. Within that fire was Esma's face. Because of her, he had fallen into such a miserable state. And he was so stupid. After becoming his girlfriend, that woman continued to visit David and flirt with him. He had never met David. However, judging from Aaron's good looks, he could tell that David was not ugly. The more he thought about that, the angrier he became. He wanted to tear Esma to pieces. After he left, Marvin couldn't help but give Aaron a glance, thinking that his boss was so venomous. With only a short speech, he had made sure that Esma would suffer for the rest of her life.
Mr. Bennett, just now the look in Peter's eyes was rather scary,
said Marvin.
Did I say anything wrong?
Aaron raised his head slightly and pulled an innocent-looking face.
You didn't say anything wrong. You were only telling the truth.
Marvin gave him a thumbs up.
I finally understand why you waited until those two got married.
In order to marry Esma, he had divorced his ex-wife and pushed away his sons. For that very reason, he would hate her even more after finding out the truth. He would probably torture Esma hard until she wanted to give up on her life before he agreed to get a divorce with her.
All right, call Kiara and her team now.
Aaron turned the SD card in his hand and said,
It's time to review the case.
In June, the hottest time of the year in Lukesville began. In an office in the Magma Group building, Clark pushed open the door and walked in and immediately heard Isaac yelling into his phone.
How did he slander Magma Group on Weibo earlier? There's no chance for private settlement. We'll go through the legal proceedings. If he wants to cancel the contract, he's gonna pay the penalty, every penny of it.
Finished talking, he ended the call. His face radiated ice.
Mr. Davidson, this is from the courthouse,
said Clark and handed him the file.
Another contract release?
Isaac threw the documents onto the table.
Who is it this time?
Recently, tons of artists had sequentially requested releases from their contracts. Thus, it was a busy time at the court. Clark looked solemnly at the documents on the table before saying,
It's not about a court release. You should take a look. The court has received an appeal towards Kenneth's case, and the first hearing begins at the end of June. These documents are the summons from court.
Isaac's pupils suddenly constricted. He opened the documents quickly and scanned through them, a crestfallen expression over his face.
Because you were the relevant witness back then,
Clark reminded him.
I won't attend. Give me the lawyer mic right away,
Isaac said. Clark sighed.
Sorry, when I came down, I contacted Lawyer Mike, and he said he's been very busy recently. He's not free to come down.
Isaac stood up aggressively and swept the items on his desk onto the floor.
Have I not been generous with him in the past 2 years? Now we're still afloat and he's already trying to run. Bastard.
Clark saw that he was infuriated and did not know whether to sympathize with him or not.
Mr. Davidson, if you don't mind me saying, this case was a sensation back then. Even when Aaron assembled his team of lawyers, their repeated appeals were rejected time and time again because the court knew that this case would become a sensation amongst the public. However, seeing the court accepted the appeal, I believe Miss Eisenberg wields a key piece of evidence which may prove that Kenneth is innocent.
Isaac's heart dropped. After a while, he looked shocked and fearful. Since Isaac had decided to frame Kenneth, he had thought of the possibility that he might be brought to justice eventually, but being optimistic, he had gradually left these thoughts in the deep recesses of his mind.
Tell the court that I'm busy and won't be attending,
he said after a while.
What if the court sends a stronger summons letter?
Clark asked.
If Lawyer Mike is not coming, get Lawyer Allen,
Isaac said hesitantly. At Rosewood City. Because Kenneth's case would be reopened in court soon, April left for errands immediately after class, taking the subway. As soon as she entered the CEO's office, Aaron saw that she was drenched in perspiration. Her face had been sunburnt with strands of wet hair plastered to her forehead. His expression fell. He could not help but chide her.
Why didn't you tell me earlier that you were coming? I would have sent my chauffeur to pick you up. Look at you, pregnant and all. What if something happened to my little princess?
April was initially touched, but now she rolled her eyes. I was the one under the hot sun. You only care about your daughter. Aaron sighed loudly.
If you want to be sunburned, that's your choice. No one forced you to. However, my little princess is to be pampered. She would feel uncomfortable in the heat. You've not spared a thought for her.
Your daughter's the only one who's precious. I'm just a strand of weed, April thought to herself. April gritted her teeth. Don't you know the first trimester is the period in which you should be the most careful? You should show more consideration for me.
You're right.
Aaron could not help but raise his eyebrows.
Look at how much you're obsessed over yourself instead of my darling princess.
All right, I understand. Once our daughter is born, I won't mean anything to you. April could not help but feel bitter.
How old are you to be envious of a baby? Childish.
Aaron patted the sofa beside him.
Sit, and I'll peel an apple for you. Everybody knows that.
Being complimented by April in front of someone else, Aaron's vanity was satisfied. He smiled broadly and looked at her proudly. Seeing that, Kiara felt really speechless. Mr. Bennett looked so proud. Anyway, I think Alan is going to be Isaac's lawyer this time. I've met him a few times. He's capable, but not as good as Mike. I'm absolutely sure that I can win against him. Not to mention the fact that Kashiwa has already agreed to testify. If Clark can stand up for you too, and add to the evidence that we've collected, we will be sure of winning. Clark hasn't called me yet, April said, a little disappointed. Aaron pinched her pink cheeks and said,
Be patient and wait. We only need him to show up in court. This case might need more than one court session.
April replied with a low voice. Mr. Bennett, I gotta go. I'm going back to my law firm to study this case with my colleagues. Seeing the intimate act between Aaron and April, Kiara stood up awkwardly and decided to give them some space. Lawyer Kiara, let me send you off. April got up quickly. Aaron frowned, displeased. Since when was it the job of his lady to send people off? April ignored his expression and held Kiara's elbow as she walked her out of the office. Are you going to make any accusations against me? Kiara grinned and asked suspiciously, because of my trip to New Jersey with Mr. Bennett when we were in Beijing. April felt her face turn red with embarrassment. Do I look that petty? I just wanted to thank you. You evidently have feelings for Aaron, but you've spared no effort in helping me. Moreover, you never tried anything funny with Aaron in Beijing. Instead, you cooperated with him for the performance. Kiara, I do quite admire you. Stop it. I'm not as noble as you say. Kiara raised her hand and smiled suddenly. I took up your case because Mr. Bennett paid me a lot of money. It's bought me a good reputation, too. Minnie would gladly take up a case for Mr. Bennett. April shook her head. I don't think so, Lawyer Kira. You're a good person. If it's possible, I'd like to be friends with you. But I might not want to be friends with you. Watching you and Mr. Bennett being in love. Being old and single, it's likely that I'll grow jealous. Kira slowed down. You don't have to send me from here. Go back in, quickly. You're pregnant, and if anything happens to you, Mr. Bennett will be wanting answers from me. April stopped and watched as Kira walked away gracefully in her high heels before returning to Aaron's office. As soon as she entered, she caught Aaron darting from behind the door, back towards his desk. He was pretending to have been walking around the office. I've sat for too long. I'm just stretching my arms. April tried to suppress her laughter. Drop your act. Were you eavesdropping on our conversation?
What's there to eavesdrop on a conversation between two women?
Aaron said arrogantly.
I was just picking up something from the floor.
Let me see then. April walked forward to pry his hand open. There was nothing in his palm. Aaron could not maintain his expression and finally confessed.
I was afraid that you'd begin a fight with her from being jealous of what happened in Beijing.
Am I that kind of person? April said. I quite like Kira. I'd like to be friends with her. Like. This word made Aaron immediately avert his gaze to glare at her.
What's there to like? Liking me will be enough for you.
She's a good woman.
I've never felt so,
Aaron said plainly.
Apart from the fact that she looks like a woman, what else about her is womanly?
April thought to herself, how upset Kira would be if she found out that the person she liked did not even think of her as a woman. I think she's quite pretty and has strong womanly character. April could not help but praise her. She has a big heart and she's generous. I want to be like her. Aaron answered without skipping a beat.
Stop whining. Look at how beautiful you are. How can you ever be like her, unless you turn ugly yourself?
Although April was speechless, she felt quite blissful having the person she loved praise her like this. I'm talking about being a strong woman. I want to be like Lawyer Kira, making a name for herself in her industry. In this life, apart from love, one must dream too. I'm pregnant now, though.
I don't object to you becoming a strong woman, but in front of me, you must be gentle. You must be gentle only for me.
After saying that, he suddenly showed great interest. Pulling her into his arms, he said,
Like a female police officer. Out there you fight, but at home in front of me, you're like a little girl. That's so interesting.
The corners of April's mouth twitched slightly. She couldn't help but pinch his arm and say, I'm sorry, I can't fight, and I can't be as strong as steel, but I think Jenica can. She's still unmarried, so you guys have a chance. She can fulfill your morbid appetite.
Don't mention Jenica to me. My entire body will feel uncomfortable once I thought of her mother.
Aaron kissed her on the cheek and then said,
April, do you know what day the 15th next month is?
April was confused and asked, What day?
I'm not telling.
Aaron let go of her, spinning her gracefully away to sit in his large armchair. Your birthday? April frowned.
You guessed it so easily.
Aaron crossed his arms across his chest, responded with satisfaction.
I guess you have remembered my birthday from a long time ago.
I haven't, said April.
Stop pretending.
Aaron shook one finger.
If you didn't know, how could you guess it so easily? You must have been thinking about what gift to give me for months, right? Prepare it seriously. I won't accept it unless it's a delightful surprise.
April didn't know how to respond. He had named that date so specifically. Anyone would think that it might be his birthday. She seriously did not know that his birthday was near. She had never seen his ID. You're going to be 30 this year, right? She asked.
Yeah, so I can't have a candlelight dinner with you.
Aaron sighed helplessly.
I need to have a meal with my family. During the meal, I'll also tell them the good news that you're pregnant. Esma has given us the evidence, so we don't need to keep it secret anymore.
April didn't want to see Aaron's family. Things had not ended well last time.
Don't worry, you're pregnant now. You're like a national treasure. They all need to be extra friendly to you.
Aaron snorted.
I didn't want to celebrate my birthday with Bennett family people. I'm only doing it for my grandmother's sake. She's not young anymore. We only booked 2 tables for family.
Will that seem too humble for your 30th birthday? April had seen many rich men who booked tens of tables for their 30th birthdays.
Humble is good. I only want to spend more time with you on my birthday. I prefer to be with you. Being with the others is boring.
Aaron slapped his thighs and said,
"Sit over here."
April curved her lips into a smile. She felt sweet toward him, but still she rejected his invitation. "You should start working. I'm going to study in the living room. An examination for the third-year students is near." She took her bag and headed to the living room. At 5 o'clock in the evening, Aaron finished his work and headed back to the Bennett Villa with April. On their way, while Aaron was driving, April felt a little bored, so she turned on the radio and heard the presenter's pleasant voice saying,
"Now, let's enjoy Winnie's latest single, End in the Smoke. This song soared to the top of the bestseller chart as soon as it was released. It's very popular. I heard that Winnie wrote the lyrics herself. She's not only pretty, but also talented. This is a sad song, more suitable for broken-hearted times. It is really good. I like it very much. Hear it, and I'll bet you'll agree."
Winnie's mesmerizing voice soon resonated within the car. April immediately increased the volume on the radio. This was Winnie's newest song, and it was also the song she wrote following her breakup with Ben Davos. Unexpectedly, it had now become a chart topper. She often heard it playing wherever she went. April felt happy for Winnie and could not help but tell Aaron, "Isn't this song nice? It's Winnie's new song."
"Is that so?"
Aaron said as he turned the steering wheel.
"It's all right. It's average. Apart from the songs you sing and the songs in the army, I don't really enjoy anything else."
April was a little put off, but after thinking for a moment, she remembered that he did not listen to many songs. "I think Winnie will become really popular," April said excitedly. "She's been very busy recently, performing every week and taking parts in variety shows. I haven't seen her for a week." It was not impossible for Winnie to catch up to Ben Davos now. But who knew how Ben might feel if both of them were to meet again in the social circle of entertainment.
"Isn't that good? She might have lost some in her love life, but gained much in her career,"
Aaron said plainly. April listened intently to the song and felt a tinge of envy. Winnie's career was taking off, and as her friend, she would have to give birth to her child after graduation instead. Would the two of them slowly drift apart in the future? No way, she thought. She had to work hard too. Even if she was pregnant, she would not let it come in the way of her studies. After returning to the villa and having dinner, April continued to work on her thesis. Aaron continued his work on the other end, the two of them engrossed in their own business. At past 10, as April was researching on a passage of content, a strong force suddenly lifted her from her chair. Exclaiming, she raised her head to see Aaron's handsome face. He looked down with his eyes shining.
"April, it's been 3 months.
April froze. After regaining her senses, she blushed. "Are you sure it's been 3 months?"
"I'm sure and certain,"
Aaron nodded.
"I've been keeping count of the days."
Without waiting for her reply, he carried her out of the study. On the way, they bumped into Emily holding onto a bowl of millet porridge. At the sight of them, she blushed and said hurriedly, "April, I've made some porridge for you. You've been hungry frequently these few days." "Oh, I am a little hungry. Thank you, Emily." April wanted to climb down from Aaron's arms, but he held onto her tightly. She said shyly, "Emily, could you help me bring it to the bedroom?" "Sure." Emily glanced at the two of them and went to set the bowl of porridge down in the bedroom. She watched as Aaron set April down on the sofa. "It's still hot," Emily reminded her. "Tell me when you're finished and I'll come by to take the bowl."
"There'll be no need. We'll just keep it until the morning,"
Aaron said plainly. How long would eating a bowl take? Time was now precious at night. April pretended not to understand anything and ate her porridge. As she ate, she trolled and played with her hair, the tips of her ears showing a tinge of red. Emily, being familiar with them, immediately could tell what was going on. She walked towards the door, but out of concern, she could not help but turn around to remind them. "Master, the doctor said you shouldn't for the first 3 months. The child might not be settled. Be careful."
I know. It's been 3 months,"
Aaron said expressionlessly. April coughed. She wanted to bury her entire face in the bowl. This scoundrel. The way he spoke was akin to telling Emily what they would do tonight. He might be shameless, but not her. Good, good. Emily sighed with relief. She gently closed the door for those two, but before the door was locked, she added with concern, "You can't make it too intense." April spooned the millet congee into her mouth. Then she wiped her mouth while complaining. "Emily." Yeah, I'm only worried about you," Emily tittered, hurriedly closing the door. The room instantly fell into silence. April could feel Aaron's burning gaze on her body. She pretended not to feel anything, but quietly eating the congee. Recently, the smell of any food would make her sick. The millet congee tasted good, though. As she finished half of the bowl of congee and feeling a little full, Aaron slowly approached her and said with a low and gentle voice,
"April, let me taste it."
April turned and saw his delicate face. The light poured across him, so bright and beautiful. She was dazed for a moment. Aaron pressed his lips against hers. He never liked millet congee, but now, tasting the refreshing aromas from her mouth, he couldn't even describe how good it was. Their lips rubbed harder against each other. April shivered and flinched. Her entire body started burning. "Don't you want some congee?"
"When did I say that I want congee? I said that I want to taste it. I want to taste you."
Aaron smiled, took the bowl from her hand, then leaned toward her. April automatically leaned backward, slowly lying back on the couch. She raised a hand to push his chest away, then bit her lip and said with a shy look in her eye, "I haven't finished it yet."
"Don't I know you? You have a very small appetite. If you eat more of it, you'll throw up."
Aaron lowered his head and slowly came close to her lips. April moved further and further backward, but still ended up in his mouth. His scorching hot breath spread her cheeks and made her tremble and burn. Maybe because she was pregnant, or because they hadn't done it for quite a while. Her body was more sensitive than usual. At first, she had the aroma of millet congee lingering in her mouth. However, as he swept across her mouth over and over again, nothing but his scent was left there. It was a hot summer. The air conditioning was on, but still, April found his muscular arm surprisingly hot. That warmth blurred her mind. She didn't even know how she had come to the bed. When she realized what had happened, her clothes had gone. She was so shy that she turned and climbed under the quilt. The thin silk quilt wrapped her beautiful body. Her black, shiny hair fanned across her jade-like skin. At a glance, Aaron felt his blood rushing right into his brain. He hurriedly crawled under the quilt as well and enfolded her into his arms. April raised her head, leaned against his chest, and looked at his handsome face. Her cheeks reddened. Aaron smiled, helped her to sit up on him. April held his arms and said with a soft voice, "Be gentle." The last syllable went up a little, instantly melting Aaron's heart. He hadn't had sex for months. At that moment, he really wanted to vent all his strength. But he didn't dare to make any large movements, as he was afraid that he might hurt the baby. He could only be painfully careful. April found it comfortable, though. He rarely acted so gently and carefully. She felt like she was under perfect protection, and she had a couple of orgasms. Around 11 p.m., Aaron held the cat-like soft lady in his arms. He was in a very good mood as he had just had sex. He stroked her lower belly with both hands, saying, "April, I think your belly's a little larger than before." April had never been the slightest bit chubby. On hearing what he said, she pulled his hands away in a moment of vexation. "I'm already 3 months pregnant. My waist is definitely going to be larger. If you don't want that, then stop touching me."
"How can that be? I like touching pigs."
Aaron quickly grabbed her again. April was quite offended. "Are you going to keep speaking that way? I only gained 3 kilograms and you're calling me a pig." Aaron blinked indignantly.
"What I mean is, you'll turn into a pig sooner or later anyways. So I'm just preempting you so that you won't let your mind run wild about a poor body image later on." So then it would not take a few months for her to already become a pig. After all, April was still a young lady. Which young lady would not want to be slim and pretty? His words made her want to vomit blood. Forget it, she thought. He had been more vicious with his words in the past, so there was an improvement. April turned to the opposite side, not wanting to entertain him any longer. The first session of Kenneth's court case was at Lukesville on the 30th of July at 2 p.m.
April was about to go on summer vacation. She had an examination that day and thought of applying for a leave of absence. But Aaron did not allow it. He said the 4th year of college was the most stressful, and now that she was pregnant, it would be much easier for her in the next semester if she could pass her examinations early. However, April could not shake the thought of Kenneth's case off her mind. When her examination ended at noon, Marvin immediately picked her up and drove her to the airport, where she took a plane to Lukesville. When she reached the courthouse, it was already 3 p.m. There was a crowd of reporters outside the courthouse. When the news broke that Kenneth would appeal, it ignited a flurry of public attention. The reporters had already arrived in the early morning before the court was in session. As April stepped out of the car and walked towards the entrance, a crowd of reporters surrounded her.
Miss Eisenberg, Kenneth was able to submit an appeal successfully this time. Did Mr. Bennett pull some strings? I heard that the victims from then have passed on. Is this how you're planning on gaining an advantage?
April heard the flurry of questions thrown at her by the reporters and could not help but stop in her tracks and glare at them coldly. While you're asking all these questions, haven't you investigated why our appeals have been rejected over 3 times? We've assembled a team of lawyers and began work since March. It's been 4 whole months already. If we really had strings to pull, why would we need to waste so much time? These questions show no respect for our country's laws, and we can sue all of you for defaming Mr. Bennett's reputation. Ignoring the look on the reporters' faces, she quickly walked in. The trial was open, and as April walked into the room, she noticed Kira standing up. She wore a lawyer's dark robes, while Isaac wore a black suit in the witness stand. It reminded her of the previous time when he stood in the same position, hurling obscene accusations at Kenneth. Mr. Isaac. Kira held a fountain pen in her hand, her voice clear and loud. According to your testimony that year, you mentioned that you personally saw Rachel emerge from Kenneth's office in untidy clothes.
Yes,
Isaac said as he nodded with a cold expression on his chiseled face. Kira nodded as well. Out of the blue, she suddenly asked, Mr. Davidson, after Kenneth went to prison, did his company, Imperial Corporation's Pictures, become yours? It has become Magma Pictures as of today. Isaac frowned. This question has nothing to do with the case. I'm a witness, not a suspect. The judge frowned. Kira quickly said, Your Honor, this question is relevant to the case. You will find out why soon enough.